morning. My name is Bushra Aiden. I am a third-year teacher with District of Columbia Public Schools. I teach at a 40/40 school, and I've been at a 40/40 since my start. So my presentation is titled The Path to Equity, and I want to talk about equity briefly. Equity means contextualized resources. It doesn't mean equal resources, so that's something really important to keep in mind. And I will get started with my rationale. So educational achievement is a result of schools providing high-quality curriculum and instruction. Quality teachers are the source of quality instruction. Today we experience significant teacher turnover rates in the U.S., specifically in Title I schools located in low-income neighborhoods serving children that have historically been deprived of high-quality education due to inequities intentionally structured into our society and our schools. The School of Study was selected because this is a case study, so I've looked at one 40/40 school and I've looked at the number of effective and highly effective teachers that they've had at the school and how the principal was able to retain those individuals. The School of Study was selected because of its retention of highly effective teachers, irrespective of the fact that it's a Title I school, it's a 40/40 school, and it's also located in a low-income neighborhood. Data was obtained through teacher, principal, and assistant principal interviews and surveys. The qualitative findings were aligned to the quantitative findings in regards to teacher retention. I anticipated that the qualitative surveys and interviews would conflict with the quantitative findings because individuals were self-reporting. And in order to prevent this from occurring, participants were informed that the surveys and interviews would not have any identifiable information that could be traced back to the participant. So the disclaimer is that the School of Study can serve as an exceptional role model for teacher retention for other schools with similar demographics if the recommendations can be piloted at other schools with same context and produce the same desired outcome. Otherwise, the sample size is too small to make a broad generalization. So this is a teacher quality equity audit. In the last 10 years, there's been a lot of research done about what makes a difference for student achievement, and it's now clear that the single most important determinant of what students learn is what their teachers know. So teacher qualifications, teachers' knowledge and skills make more difference for student learning than any other single factor. These are the teacher ratings at the School of Study for the 2014 and 2015 school year using the impact rubric. The School of Study had a total of 33 teachers, and regardless of being located at a high-poverty neighborhood and being identified as a 40/40 school, this school has one of the highest effective and highly effective teacher retention rates. So if you can see below, there are 0 ineffective teachers, 1 minimally effective teacher, 6 developing teachers, 14 effective, and 12 highly effective teachers at this 40/40 school. And the data for the 2015-2016 school year will be available in July 2016. So the recommendations are coming from the instructional leader at the school, who has been there for 6 years. So to hire culturally and linguistically diverse leaders invested in providing equal opportunities for all students. Provide ongoing contextualized training based on the diverse needs of the school community. So we're looking at local professional development versus attending district-wide PDs that may not always be applicable to the needs of the school. Building partnerships and asset mapping to determine what your current families and community can bring to the table. So this is recognizing the community that you're working in and identifying the unique characteristics and what that community can bring to the school. Engaging families and teachers and informing them of historical context of underserved populations within the U.S. So this is looking at the Brown versus Board of Education and informing our families of how they have historically been underserved and what we're doing as advocates for children and our families. continue to evolve and provide as much support as needed via wraparound services. Again, going back to needs-based professional development, creating a school culture of information sharing where teachers lead school-wide initiatives. And again, equity is defined as access to material and human resources in proportion to needs. Once disparities have been identified, if we proceed with equal allocation of resources, the disparities continue. Equitable allocation responds to identified needs. So here's the definition of a highly qualified teacher from No Child Left Behind. In order for someone to be identified as a high qualified teacher, they have to have full certification or licensure, hold a college degree, and they have to have demonstrated content knowledge in all subjects that they teach. Schools, school districts, and states are held accountable under NCLB for ensuring that all students have access to highly qualified teachers under this federal definition. When making hiring decisions, instructional leadership put the following information into consideration: teacher education, teacher experience, teacher mobility, and teacher certification. If you look at teacher mobility, it's also looking at teacher assignment. Where are we placing our seasoned teachers? Where are we placing our effective teachers versus where are we putting our new hires? These are some of the references for my research. And I have additional information if you're interested, just so we have common language. So this is a list of 40 schools in the District of Columbia. 40 schools are 40 lowest performing schools that are expected to make 40% of growth by 2017 school year. This is impact scores word by word. So this talks about gentrification, some of the inequities all across the District of Columbia, and how certain schools located in certain neighborhoods have higher rates of highly effective teachers, while others in low-income neighborhoods have lower rates of highly effective teachers. And this was on the Washington Post. And then one additional resource, which is the impact distribution by school. This was published last year. So it lists all of the schools in the District of Columbia. And it gives you a breakdown of effective, minimally effective, ineffective, highly effective teachers and where they're located within our school systems. So if we look at this, this is from the district, this is one of the presentations through the District of Columbia Public Schools. So this is how it's showing that teacher effectiveness has increased from 2009 until 2013 school year. If you can look at it, it's kind of like there's a pattern. But if we look at the impact ratings by school poverty level, we'll be able to see that highest poverty still has the lowest number of effective and highly effective teachers, and that continues to be a problem. And that's actually a civil rights matter that we're here to address as teacher leaders in the District of Columbia Public Schools. So thank you so much for your time, and I'm open to any questions you may have.
And I'm going to defer to someone else.
Okay.
I heard you mention the goal in which DCP had set for achievement in 2017. I think you said 40%?
Yes, for 40 schools.
For the 40 schools. And of course, the record, the trend from 2007 till now, does that suggest that we may possibly reach that goal by 2017? I'm just looking at the fact that the gap has grown from 17% since 2007 to almost 50% in 2015. So it's not making much sense.
So President Davis, that's actually a very interesting question. If we look at the timing of when PARCC assessment was rolled out, When that data was collected, students were expected to make 40% gains on the DC CAS, but we're no longer using the DC CAS as the assessment of measure. Therefore, we will not be able to demonstrate 40% of growth based on an assessment that was used because we no longer have the same assessment. That means that we will not be held accountable for that growth measure.
Okay, all right. So we had hard for 1 year.
Yes.
Let's eliminate 2015 and go to 14. From 2007 to 14, the gap grew from 17% scale score points to 46. So in the park did not come into existence until 15. So how do we account for that? I'm just trying to make some sense of how we're going to make the leap to a 40% increase in 1 year after 7 years of the gap continuing to grow. It just doesn't make sense. Is it a logical assumption that we can actually reach that goal? I don't think so.
I agree with you. Thank you. Any additional questions? Comments or violent reactions?
Yeah. The civil rights issue, if no one else has a question, I'm keenly interested because this is clearly a civil rights issue.
Definitely.
And even though, we are finding some hearing, it's at a crisis level. And I'm just appalled that there's not as much outrage about the increase in our achievement gap in the 40s, even in the 40/40 schools. And the promise made by two chancellors, almost a decade later, and no one is saying that we have not even come close to the promises that we're supposed to, two chancellors are supposed to deliver on. I can't imagine a teacher having that track record with their class. The track record that two chancellors have had over the course of 7 or 8 years. They'd be terminated as well.
We only have 2 years to be developing.
Absolutely.
We do not get a third.
So there is clearly, and I would be interested in pursuing or deepening in the dialogue around the civil rights issues and what can be done about that. And I certainly hope that will come from the teacher leaders. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was just curious, within your research presentation, you noted No Child Left Behind as far as your measure for effectiveness as in that definition. I was curious as to why you used that versus the impact system that we've been using for the last few years, and also if any consideration would be made towards LEAP and how that would affect your current research.
So let me clarify, and thank you for asking that clarifying question. The definition that's used from No Child Left Behind is to define a highly qualified teacher. But I have been using the definition from the impact assessment as highly effective teachers. So those two, let's please not get that confused. And I can refer back to the slide if you need clarifications on that. And in terms of LEAP, that information is currently not available. But once it becomes available, I would be interested in knowing what the correlations are. Thank you.